I'd like to say that, you know, not even, with my 3 records, I wasn't completely, crazy about everything on Confessions.
All right, bro. This interview is over.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you for joining the Genius. Without me and Pooh Bear don't agree. If we don't agree, I cannot sit with you. What's up, geniuses? This is For the Record, and I'm your host, Rob Markman. This week's guest is a legend in the game, and if you don't know his name, believe me, you definitely know his pen. Having written songs for 112, Usher, and Justin Bieber, he's finally stepping out as a solo artist with his new album, Bearthday Music. Poo Bear Presents Bearthday Music, and we would like to welcome Pooh Bear to For the Record. What's going on, my brother?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Thanks for having me.
Nah, man, thanks for coming, man. This your first album.
First official album, yeah.
But this ain't your first rodeo. Like you've been around some big releases.
Yeah.
How does it feel to really have your name on something, your stamp? This is your baby, your creation, and you're pushing out in the world. You nervous a bit?
I'm a bit nervous. The baby, like the labor is done now, so we pushed the babies out today. About 15 babies came out today, and it's just cool. It's kind of refreshing and fulfilling to have my name. Like Justin literally was the only person to ever mention me as a songwriter in my whole career. So to have a project now, where my name is on every record, and it's no way around, not knowing that this is something that came from me, and it's cool. It's just a feeling like finally I kind of feel validated in a sense, and just excited for the world to hear it, man, and see how they react to it.
Man, your album is really interesting because I think it's really indicative of a shift right now in music and where we are at streaming and how people consume records and albums and entire projects. I mean, you have Hard to Face Reality is the first single, and you have Justin Bieber and Electronica on the same song. I never thought. I literally had to think twice, look at it twice when I saw the record come out. Then next record you got J-Lo on the record, man. You got Balvin on the record. You got Dolla Sign. You got real just rap with Rah-Rah.
Yeah.
Zara Larson. You're going in a lot of different directions, touching on a lot of different genres. And that was really done purposefully. Can you explain the thinking behind that?
Yeah, the whole point of me doing an album that is genreless is so that it's just the way that music is consumed now. Even when you look at any streaming platforms, there's no, unless you're specifically listening to one project, you're usually listening to a playlist, and that playlist is just a plethora of great music that, is to be consumed. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? It would be amazing to make a body of work that, first of all, not only could have a song, on a country playlist, to have a record on a reggaeton playlist, to have a record on an urban playlist, to have a pop record on a pop playlist. That was a goal, to literally make a body of work so that each playlist I could support it with a song. And when you take and you consume the music and you hear it, it doesn't feel foreign and it doesn't feel strange, because when people now, streaming is the most popular, way to consume music. Now when you're listening to it, you hear my album and it's jumping around from genres. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel weird, because that's what your playlists are doing to you anyway. When they have their own playlists, and they're not just, they might be in, a certain genre or a certain thing, but at the same time, they're still very different songs. And they're not, it's not like they're cohesive records. So in my mind, I'm like, let's make this work. Let's make this album so that, I can have a record for Sweden, with Zara. I can have a record with Anita for Brazil, so I can get Brazil and have those people, understand and even see Anita in a whole other light, because she's singing in English for the first time.
By the way, I had to do the double take because, we know Anita right now is killing it with Balvin on, she has her own stuff too, but the Machiga record is, and she's killing it. And then all of a sudden I heard her on your record, and I was like, yo, she's singing in English. I didn't even know she sung in English.
Yeah, and it did it really well and went #1 in Brazil. And the cool thing about that record being in English is a lot of those kids, a lot of the people in Brazil, they even in the more in the poorer areas, they don't even speak, Portuguese that well. So for her to perform the record and hear everybody singing these English songs word for word is actually teaching the kids and teaching people English. And it was just, that was another cool thing about the record I did with Anita. And then outside of that, Anita, then you have Jennifer Lopez, which she's a living legend, and I love her. And I wanted to approach a record with her in a whole nother light. So when people hear it, they can say, "Yo, is that J-Lo?" And not be like, "Oh, that's Jennifer." I wanted it to be more of a shock value thing, and just putting this album, like literally having a record for each territory. I wanted to make a record for everybody. Even with Juanes, another living legend. Great human being, great musician. To make a record with him and Skrillex did the beat, and it's reggae. It came out reggae, but it's still healing. It's powerful. It's for the world. But now it's like, okay, now I have a Colombian territory that I could sprinkle this in, as well as in Jamaica and other territories that support Caribbean music. And I really, literally just wanted to handcraft an album that could just live forever and be a part of my birthday music legacy, and definitely as my first that I'm gonna do every year, just like a birthday. Every year I'm gonna put out an album, and it's gonna be, and I don't want you to really know what to expect. All you can expect is that I'm gonna attack every genre of music, and I'm gonna take it and use my spin of what I feel like, how I interpretate that genre, and hope that, in doing that, it connects with people and opens and progresses music. I believe that, when you get stuck in one genre and one sound, it's just there, and I feel like it's just gonna sound like everything else that's going on, and it kind of just like washes out and blends in and gets lost in the sauce. And then with these records, I wanted to make the illest, like the flyest urban record with Ra, with Nietzsche, with rappers that new people, with new artists as well as established artists. And it's just songs that stick out. So now when you hear them, yeah, they're cool. You could play them, in back of another record that might be in the urban world, but it's still its own thing. And it's like its own record. And it's not about me. I wanted to keep bringing it back to it not being about me, and more so what I'm presenting as a curator. And I do sing, but I'm only singing on maybe 4 or 5 songs on this album because I don't want to be a singer. I want to be a curator. I want to put out music, and I want to put together and structure different albums so that I can just deliver records that I'm a part of to the world without having, it's scary. I have a lot of friends that are super celebrities, and they go through periods, and I see that they're not genuinely happy, and it's just because as an artist, when you give so much of yourself, you don't have anything else to really keep to yourself. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to lose that. I still want to be able to have some sanity. I want to be happy. So let's just put out music that's great, and see how it connects with the world, and just keep doing it.
Nah, that's definitely like commendable, like your whole approach to it. I was wondering though, because it's all about also expressing yourself. I'm sure music is a form of, you speak to a lot of artists who speak about music as a form of therapy,
Yes.
and to get something off of your chest.
Yes.
I was wondering if the process changed for you when you're writing for yourself, when you're doing something for your own project, and getting your own thoughts and ideas out, versus when you're writing for somebody else and creating with somebody else. Does the process change for you at all?
The process changes because it's like, if I'm working with someone else, for someone else, for them, it becomes more of a tailoring thing where, just because a tailor makes a suit, it might not look great on the next person because everybody's, has a different body build. So for me, when I'm working with somebody else, I'm tailoring a record, or let's use a suit as a metaphor. I'm tailoring a suit for this artist with the artist, and it is gonna 1000% be different from a suit that I'm tailoring if I'm just making a suit for fun. Even if I'm not making a suit, to go into production, to go to a store, I'm making this suit, and I might make this suit with short sleeves, you know what I'm saying? Or I might make it with like the pants like culottes, like back in the day. As opposed to when I'm working with an artist, it's tailoring a suit that fits best for this artist. So it's definitely, you know, the process of it is definitely still me being open to understand, what do you want to wear? You know, what fits you best? You know what fits your body best. Like, what do you want pimp stripe? You want a tuxedo? You want a suit? You want a linen suit? And then there, I'm able to still use my formula and my system of creating, you know, simple and effectiveness, you know, having melodies that are simple enough for a child to sing along and infectious enough that you can't get out of your head, but, you know, lyrically still profound and mentally stimulating enough to, you know, to move a scholar to like, wow, I would have never, you know, thought of, you know, early morning in the dawn, or you want to ride, and think of dawn as a drop top Rolls Royce, or is it the dawn in the morning? Those are the stimulates that, you know, still have to be there. So in tailor making that suit for that artist, I'm still using my formula, but it's still a tailoring. It's still something completely different from what I would just do if I was just making a suit by myself.
Copy, I got you. You know, it's interesting. Off camera, you were talking about it, and I'm wondering like how you really found your voice in music, and how you found this love and this passion. Because even just to hear you talk, you speak very passionately about the music that you create. You didn't grow up around a ton of music. When we talk about variety, and like, you know, you were telling a story which baffles my mind. When I was a kid, I used to have to sneak to listen to NWA and Onyx,
right?
And Too Short, Two Live Crew,
yeah,
Ghetto Boys,
1000%, yeah.
You had to sneak to listen to Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, I just called to say I love you. Like on top of it, it wasn't even like, not like Stevie Wonder has any, you know, edgy songs like to begin with. But yes, it's just growing up. My father's a preacher, my mom's religious, you know, and when they were together, it was strict, you know, and I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music, and Stevie Wonder fell under the, you know, the category of secular music. So I would wait till about, you know, they would make me listen to like trumpeter music with like people playing trumpets, or, you know, people playing guitar, like instrumental stuff, not even with words, more so like praise and worship music for God, which was great because, I mean, I still know I learned a lot from listening to trumpet music, because trumpets play the main line, the main melody. So it kind of, when I look up and think like, oh, I'm a great top liner, you know, a lot of that stems from me even playing the trumpet, you know. But besides that, I would sneak and listen to Stevie Wonder at like 2 a.m. with my headphones on, really, really, really low, listening to I Just Called to Say I Love You and Send Her My Love with a Dozen Roses. It was a cassette tape. Remember how they used to have 2 singles on the A side and the B side? The A side was Called to Say I Love You, and the B side was Send Her My Love. And never got caught, and you know, thank God, not thank God, but my parents got a divorce, and we ended up being homeless for a while. And then when we recreated, we gathered ourselves in Atlanta, my mom wasn't on that same program, and she let me listen to whatever I wanted to listen to, because she just felt bad after the divorce.
So when the restrictions are kind of off of you, what's the first record that you run to?
Oh man, I mean, I want to say in 1990, it had to be like Ice Cube, like Predator, or like, it was like, and it wasn't even something that I went looking for, but it was something that I was influenced by my older cousin. He had Ice Cube, he had NWA, and he had Too Short. So those are records that I was appalled growing up, the little kid in church every day. But that's what the stuff that I gravitated to at first. And then, you know, it went to more like some weirdo 4-9 Blondes and Oasis and weird like indie rock. Like weird, something that you would have never thought that I would listen to.
Real quick, so was 112 your first placement?
Yeah.
Okay, so riddle me this.
Okay.
How does a kid growing up on religious music, can't listen to any secular music, come out and his first writing credit is 112 Peaches and Cream?
This is one of those things that I could save this for the end. Remember at the end? Because that fact.
Okay.
Because what you just said is not really true, but a lot of people think that Peaches and Cream was my first hit record, and it wasn't. But I can say this, so that's one thing.
We'll go back. Okay,
yeah,
we're gonna come back to that.
Yeah, that's a perfect one to set up the last thing.
But 112. Let's go on to Usher. Let's go on to Confessions. First of all, you see how this guy is a storyteller, right? Because this is he's cognizant of the arc of this interview. So we're gonna come back to 112 real quick, and it's gonna be great when we get there. I believe, shout out to Regina, who's actually producing there in the background. What's up, Regina?
Happy
That's
birthday,
right.
Regina.
Happy birthday. You got to break the wall. Look, I told you I'm going to do it. We're going to have fun. Regina is a big Usher fan, and we bond over that. I mean, we go on, we ride around in the car and we listen to Usher when we're out working together or whatever. Confessions, to me, has to be, honestly, the greatest R&B album of our generation.
Yeah, I feel like that.
And you got 3 joints on Usher Confessions, man. Caught Up, Superstar, Follow Me.
Yeah.
How does this happen, man?
It just happened from being in Philadelphia with 2 amazing producers, Dre and Vidal, and also the other writer, Ryan Toby from City High. You know,
City High.
yeah, and just
shout out Claudette Ortiz.
Yeah, shout out Ryan, Dre, and Vidal. And then we were in Philly and we were working and we were creating records, and we created a record and created an idea, and that idea went to L.A. Reid, and at that time, Usher was just about to start on his next album, which ended up being Confessions. It wasn't a title at that time. And he was madly in love with Chili from TLC. So you can hear, you know, the idea of Superstar was the first idea that actually Ryan Toby created that concept. And I just came in and added some stuff and worked on the record and finished the record with Ryan. And then that was the first idea that went to L.A. Reid, and L.A. Reid was like, Usher needs to record this immediately. So he was supposed to go in with another producer, I think maybe Jermaine Dupri first, to start off to set the tone of the album, and ended up going with us first to set the tone. And the first thing that we cut was Superstar. Then we came up with Caught Up. When these records, mind you, they were literally another true instance of, you know, being true to that moment. Like, Superstar was talking to Chili, I'll be your groupie, baby, because you're my superstar. TLC was the biggest, you know, girl group of all time. Then you have Caught Up, where, you know, he literally was caught up, you know, with Chili. And then you have Come Follow Me, You're Not Like Them Other Girls. So those records were specifically tailor-made for Usher's time at that moment where he was emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And the scary part about that was when they broke up. I was like, oh man, we had spent so much time.
Because you were gonna lose the records.
1000%, because it was like, now, like, who's he singing to now? And thank God, somehow, literally that recording process was like a 2-year recording process. So we did 5 records, and out of 5, we placed 3. But I for sure thought we weren't gonna have anything on the album because he was so removed from a relationship. And then it just turned into, you know, just great songs that he just wanted to keep. And I was so grateful and thankful that all that effort and energy didn't go into the music abyss, is what I call it. You know, it's just
that album was so great because it told the story. And I think part of it, the music on Confessions is amazing. But I think as fans, we were watching the soap opera that was Usher's life. So it was the relationship with Chili, and we were invested because that's, you know, before we were hashtag relationship goals, that wasn't the thing then. But that's what it was.
Yeah.
You wanted that type of relationship. And
it was something to inspire to. Yeah.
And when it fell apart, we was like, oh, well, you know, what did he do?
Because she was in automatically. The videos.
It's cool to think, and you answered my question without me asking it, but I was wondering, as a songwriter, how much do you pay attention to the media? How much do you pay attention to what's going on and where an artist is, and how much does that affect the songwriting? But in this case of Usher Confessions, it
was real, like real time. Like, and then when they broke up, it was like, okay, I was definitely just worried that we weren't gonna make the album, but we did, and it went on to sell 20 million albums, and like, you know, Confessions was it was like a huge milestone in R&B history and in musical history. You know, not even outside of R&B. I think it affected so many different people outside of the typical R&B culture. And it was great to be a part of it. It's a blessing to be a part of it.
There's a fun debate that we always have on Twitter and with friends. If you could take yourself out of it and not be biased, what's the better Usher album? Is it Confessions or 8701?
Man, can I just be... Okay, so my honest feeling is I love good music, and I think that 8701 maybe had... It just had a lot of good music. Confessions had, yielded more hits. But 8701 still was an amazing body of work. It just didn't yield as many hits, so it appeared to be not as, effective as Confessions. But I like to say that, not even, with my 3 records, I wasn't completely, crazy about everything on Confessions.
All right, bro. This interview is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for joining the Genius. Without me and Pooh Bear don't
No,
agree. If we
no.
don't agree, I cannot sit with you.
I know, that's me being honest.
I feel you.
Everything. You know how you can just be like, you being honest, but that's coming from a writer, a creative place, not from a consumer. You know what I mean? I haven't been a consumer in so long. Right. I remember hearing music and getting those butterflies and feeling that I think people might still have, weird enough, when they hear good music.
Listen, a guy that is known for giving a lot of people, especially young women, butterflies, is your friend Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Now, there was a time, and you had credits all over the place, man. You're just like the hottest in the industry. Your pen is on fire.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And you decided at one point, you met Biebs, and that you were just going to work with Justin for a while?
Yeah, 2013, I met Justin at a birthday party. Had nothing to do with music, and he ended up hearing a few of songs that I did for myself, because I always play around and do music like I'm pretending to do an album, and I'm not. And
except the album is out right now.
Yeah, but that was those songs were me like singing. You know what I'm saying? This album is a curation of music. But for like in 2013, he hears a couple songs. He's like, "Yo, I wanna, can you flip this Craig David idea? Like, take the chords and just see if you could write something new to it." And that's where, the song Recovery from Journals came from. And that was the first opportunity that Justin gave me to show and prove to him that I had a little bit of talent, and I flipped it in like 45 minutes with the audibles. They flipped the music and I flipped it, I wrote it, 30, 45 minutes Recovery. Sent it to him, and he was in Boston. He was like, can you fly out? And I was like, yeah. And then he flew me to Boston, kidnapped me, and from there, I literally was with Justin about 13 months on tour, and he never let me go home. And it was an amazing kidnapping. It was the most amazing kidnapping of all time. Seeing the world, and everywhere we went, we were creating music and writing, and which ended up being, journals and even partially Purpose. And it wasn't like I decided like, oh, I'm just only working with Bieber. For me, I'm an energy person, and this kid is so like, working with me and really believed in me so much and was so loyal, and so much time went by and we're traveling, and I don't know if he kidnapped me so that I couldn't work with other people, but ultimately it was like, why? Why would I go and even try when here's this person that believes in me more than any artist has ever believed in me, and I hadn't written a hit with him or for him at that time. So I'm looking back at all the other hits I've written, all the people I worked with, and people call me and reach out to me, but for the most part, everybody's always on to whoever is the hottest at that moment.
Absolutely.
And Justin, at that moment, I was not the hottest. And he took a leap of faith and was like, I believe in you and I love your music and I want to work with you. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care if The Dream or whoever was hot at that moment is hot. I don't care. Whoever, it was a few writers that were on top, and he was just like, nah, Pooh Bear, I'm pro Pooh Bear. And for me, I'm like, you know what? He's so loyal. It made it easy for me, and the fact that he kidnapped me, so it wasn't like I could just leave, Bali, Indonesia, or Bangkok, or like, what I'm saying, these places that we were in, and go back into my regular life. So it worked out for the best, and just ended up being like, for me, the most loyal and person to ever believe in me, and then mention me and shed light on the fact that, we were working on this stuff together. So many artists like to get music and get songs, and then when they do interviews, they're like, yeah, I thought of this record when I was, when I was caught up. I was actually caught up, and I had to write about it because that's what I was going through. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, no, not really. Right. But, so for Justin literally give me, my credit, not just on the back of an album, but like verbally say, Pooh Bear did this with me. Pooh Bear, we did my whole album. We did Journals together. We did Purpose together. Pooh Bear, and it was uncomfortable because I was so used to being in the background that I was like, yo, you don't have to do that. Because I accepted the fact that I'm gonna be in the background. I'm gonna make publishing, and I'm gonna take care of my family, and I don't care. People don't have to know. I want people to think that the world needs to think that these songs are coming from these artists.
Well, it goes back to the Usher thing. Like, Superstar works if he sings that and we see him in a relationship with
It's
Silly.
like, yo, you really wrote
believe
this. Yes, you believe it. And that what that does is it translates into record sales.
Right.
And that's the goal.
But also connectability. You know, a record that I love, man, and, you know, I'm a little older, so I can't sit here and say I was a big Justin Bieber fan and didn't relate to me. But as he started to grow up and the record started to become more mature, I remember Where Are You Now came out. And it was a time when I was working at MTV on the time, and I was on the road a lot, and, you know, I was missing my wife.
Yeah.
It just felt super lonely, and that record just connected. Even before it flew up the charts, it connected with me.
Wow.
And my wife was like, "Yo, why are you like obsessed with this Bieber record?
That's
like,
crazy.
Like you a whole grown man. Like, what are you doing?" When you're writing, you know, it's been speculated, but, you know, at the same time, if you watch the media, Justin and Selena, that there was a breakup, that you see what you see on TMZ, and so you wonder if the record is about that. So my question is to you, from the outside looking in, when you were working with Usher, you were on the outside looking in, and you wrote what you thought, you know, Usher may say, and presented it, and they accepted it in the work. For a situation, you know, with Bieber, you know, Where Are You Now, any other Bieber songs, do you guys talk about what's going on in his real life and, like, really play that up in the music, or do you run from it, or how do you approach what we see on TMZ versus what you guys are doing in the studio?
Well, that record in particular, Where You Now, was done, and it was created just on a whim of me just going in the studio and just coming up with some ideas, and then, you know, having a nice idea to play for Justin, and then him, you know, then we finished it together, but he loved it. But it wasn't like one of those situations where that was one of those records where I just wanted to get an idea out, but it wasn't like, yo, this is what Justin's going through right now. It was just a cool, honestly, to be honest with you, I was at home watching TV one day, and this thing came up on maybe like E or VH1, and it was like, Where Are They Now? And I remember taking my phone. I still have the notes. I still have all my notes from where songs come from in my phone, and the date and the time that they were created and born. And I remember taking my phone and just saying, Where Are They Now? I'm like, Where Are You Now? So the idea of it came from the show on VH1, Where Are They Now? You know what I'm saying? It was something like that. And I was like, that would be a cool idea. And then it just turned into, you know, Where Are You Now that we heard. But it wasn't like the Usher stuff where it was like, oh, this is what you're going through right now. It was just one of those instances where the song just was such a real, the lyric was so real in what it was saying that it just connected, and it felt like it was something that everybody assumed that Justin was talking to Selena on that record, because they weren't together at that time. And to be honest with you, it wasn't written about anybody in specific. It wasn't written about one person, or even in my life, there was nobody that I was looking for. Even in my documentary, they try to make it seem like, you know, was this song coming from you looking for your father when your father disappeared. I'm like, that's cool, but no. Like, that sounds great, but nah, I wish I could tell you that, yeah, my dad, yeah, where are you now, Dad, that I need you, but no. And so that record was literally just a record that was created, and Justin finished it. And that, honestly, that's one of my, you know, records that means the most to me. I have huge records, bigger records than that, but it meant so much because the world, everybody around me had counted out my little brother. Everybody was like, yo, he's done. His career is over. And I'm just like, really? And it bothered me. And then so when that record took off and everywhere, how big it was, and it, you know, to go all the way to, you know, to win song, you know, best dance song, you know, it was so meaningful because everybody, that was his comeback song. Right. And to be a part of it, to look back in history and be like, yo, after everybody dismissed Justin and turned their backs on him and was like, yo, he's done, here comes this record, Where Are You Now, you know, that Skrillex blessed, you know, and it literally was his comeback song. So for me, that record it's cool that you brought it up because it has a lot. It has the most meaning to me in my career.
It's an amazing record.
Thank you.
It's truly an amazing record.
Thank you.
Record. All right, so we're gonna wind down. I want to play a quick game with you, and then we'll close out. This is called Record Break. So I'm just gonna ask you rapid fire questions. I want about records, all opinion based, so it's not trivia. And just the first thing that comes to your mind, very first thing that comes to your mind. So, what's your favorite record that you ever written?
Oh,
I didn't say it was easy questions.
yeah. Where are you now?
Where are you now?
Yep.
What was the one record that you didn't write, but wish you did?
The A-Team by Ed Sheeran.
Okay.
Amazing song.
All right, man. Birthday music. There's a lot of collaborators on it. Yeah. Who is the best collaborator to make records with?
Ooh, Jesus. I'm just gonna have to say Justin Bieber. Sorry.
Can't get mad at that.
No.
Who do you want to make a record with one day?
Celine Dion.
I can hear that. I can hear that.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, let's go. And right now, the best record out right now, except yours. Can't be any of yours, but your favorite record right now, the best record at the moment.
Oh, it's so tough because I don't really listen to music. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen. I'm just gonna have to go with I really like this. I really love this J Balvin and Nicki Jam's record.
X.
I like that X record. Yeah, I do, man. Like I really love it. Right, that's where I'm at right now.
That's a great record. We had Nicki Jams up on our Verified series breaking down the record. Nicki Jams has such an amazing story, such an amazing talent.
He's a great human being.
Yeah.
Great spirit.
Great dude.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, man, this is called For the Record.
Yeah.
All right. So this is your chance to tell the world to set the record straight on anything you want. You just got to finish the sentence to me.
Okay.
For the record.
Pieces and Cream was not my first hit record. We Can Do It Anywhere was by 112. And I was 15 in high school in the 10th grade when that record was done.
With Lil Zane.
Lil Zane. Lil Zane, a.k.a. Tupac.
You know what, though? First of all, that's damn.
Just so you know.
Well, go back anyway.
Okay.
Go back to the original question is how does you grew up on
right.
religious music.
And that's
okay, so your first
that's even worse than Peaches and Cream. That's why I was saying that because We Can Do It Anywhere. Peaches and Cream is at least in a double entendre.
It was coded. Yeah, it was coded.
Yeah, it was coded. So in We Can Do It Anywhere, I think Preacher's Kids, man, I think the more you take a kid away from stuff and try to hide it from them, the more they're gonna look for it. I think that's like one of those things, even with me as a father and keeping in mind when I'm raising my son, I don't want him to have candy. I don't want him to have these things. But if I just completely hide it, my wife makes it really clear, we can't do that because look at all the stuff that you were kept from that you go out and you just go and find it on your own because you're so curious. So I think being in such a strict household, growing up in Atlanta in College Park, Atlanta, we had Freaknik. I don't know if nobody had Freak. No, people to this day are still like, yo, what's Freaknik? And I'm like, I thought it was something that happened nationally, but Freaknik is when everybody gets in their car and drives to Atlanta and basically just has sex everywhere, dances naked in the highway. They used to let us out of middle school to go celebrate Freaknik. If Freaknik literally was just go and be as perverted as you possibly could be. So growing up in Atlanta, after coming from our church every day, it was easy to do a record called We Could Do It Anywhere, you know what I'm saying, with Deron Jones and 112. And I'm so grateful and humble that they allowed me to work on that record with them and that they were the introduction to my songwriting career. So I got to shout out 112. Thank you guys so much. And Bear, my cousin Courtney, for putting me with 112 and discovering 112 at that talent show.
That's dope. I got it for the record, though.
Okay.
That Lil Zane verse wasn't that bad, man. That
Lil Zane verse was amazing, but it was too...
When 112 sing to you, what kind of feeling do it bring to you? I can give you that whole verse.
But those were literally, if you go through Tupac...
Absolutely.
He literally was like, I pump hard, but you say I'm being mean to you. It was literally got me feeling like a criminal with lockdown. It was literally bars from Pac, but they were broken up bars. It wasn't like he just went and took a whole verse.
Yeah.
He took a bar, and then it came together, and it was like, that shit's fly. And we love Tupac. At that time, we were in Tupac mode.
Absolutely.
He had just got killed.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely, man. Well, yo, thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah.
That's our time, Poo Bear. I had so much fun talking with you, man.
Thank you for having me. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.